Why, hello again, and welcome back to TwoSun Tuesday. This is another kind of newer one that I just recently picked up. Um, Came in earlier in the week from when I'm recording this. I've actually recorded a couple of these in advance, so you'll probably see me with actual nail polish on my fingers instead of just clear coat in the coming days. But yeah, some of my fingernails are still quite weak, and I'd like to grow that out just a little bit more before I start putting a whole bunch of chemicals on it. Anyway, back to Tucson. This is the TS69, and it's a night morning design. It's obviously another flipper. It being kind of a lower or number kind of thing than this guy's using D2. A little less recent than last week's Hawkbill guy that I was taking a look at because it has written out night morning design rather than him using his new logo. This is a pretty interesting knife. I wasn't fully prepared exactly for what this was when I got it because I did notice, and I didn't even really think to look beforehand, but this guy doesn't have a pocket clip at all. It's mostly, I guess, designed to be carried in a belt pouch or whatnot. It does have a little kind of blade cut out and swedge there, but it's far too close in there. You can't really use that for deploying the blade. But it does have a flipper tab on there that I'm assuming you would put into the pouch and it would probably stick out from. But yeah, this guy's right around probably 3.5 inch or so, 3.55 inches. Yeah, nice D2 blade. Obviously, it's riding on ceramic bearings and detent because they all are. Now, something kind of interesting on the backside here is it does have a titanium backspacer, which it's a nice little touch. I mean, the liners are steel, but you at least get a little nice titanium milled backspacer with some crenellations there, and that's also where your lanyard loop is, which means this guy is probably a lot stronger for the lanyard than the last two that I took a look at. But this guy is quite thick. It's like basically 3/4 of an inch or 0.75 of an inch around. And they did that basically because they didn't have to worry about it being in a pocket. And they also didn't have a clip adding any extra width. So they decided to fill it out, with nicely contoured G10. The bottom is fairly neutral. It's got like a couple of steps up here, as you can see. And the liner on it doesn't really have any jimping or anything like that, but it still is up a little bit higher than the presentation side. So disengaging it's no problem whatsoever. Something I did notice, at least while I was sharpening it, is this back end here. Wow, that's sharp. I mean, like, just the G10 jabbing into you, and the steel liners also do the same thing there. Um, I didn't notice it when I was sharpening with my right hand, but on my left hand, it was basically digging into right there on my pinky, and I could really feel it. I'm like, wow, that kind of sucks. But that's only me grabbing and trying to use it left-handed while I'm sharpening it. So, be that as it may, it might be something that would concern you. I don't know. I do have kind of half a mind to do some modification and round some of that off. Obviously, I'd use my belt grinder for it, and certainly if you're grinding any kind of G10 or micarta, you really want to wear a face mask because, especially with G10, well, it's fiberglass particulate. You're just tossing out into the air, so you really don't want to breathe that in if you don't have to. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take them apart real quick. It's relatively simple to pull apart. We just got that one screw on the back spacer there. And the pivot. There we go. And yeah, you can see just how thick boy these G10 scales are. It's a considerable chunk of a G10 right there. As the last few, this guy's got a blade-mounted stop pin on there. And here's the liner with the ceramic stuff, and we got the ceramic caged bearings there. And then, yeah, here's the little titanium milled clip area. It is actually relatively smooth on the inside of there, so it probably wouldn't damage your paracord all that much. But the sides might be just a little rough. I don't know. But yeah, there's not a whole lot going on the inside. There's a little tiny bit of skeletonization of the steel liners, but obviously most of the weight's with the G10, and boy howdy is it. But, alrighty, yep. So this guy, completely round pivot. It's kind of one of their earlier models. It's kind of one of those interesting things of the model number doesn't necessarily mean that that's the order that it came out in. They did have some rhymes and reasons as to why things are like that, which is why they started their 200 and above lines of knives, and yet they weren't quite done with their 100 series. So there you go. Numbers, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, this guy is relatively simple to slap back together. If I'd have known that this guy didn't have a pocket clip, for one, I probably would have thought twice about it. And if I did still decide to spring for picking it up, I would have probably tried to pick up a belt pouch for it as well. TwoSun does apparently make one that I honestly don't know if it would fit this one or not, but I think it would. It would make the most sense, at least. Yeah, there we go. He's all nice and back together. No blade play whatsoever, and super smooth. It's a pretty interesting tanto shape. It's more or less a... it's not quite as aggressive as as an American full-on tanto would be, where it actually does kind of have a little bit of a drop there, but the tip is still super strong on it. It's just not full out and then down at the triangle like Cold Steel kind of made popular with their American style tantos back in the late 80s, early 90s, somewhere around there. But yeah, it's an interesting piece. Certainly fits the hand really well because you got a lot thicker handles and more contouring, so it feels a little bit more like a fixed blade. But obviously, you don't want to use it like a fixed blade and do some really crazy stuff like with it. Like I certainly don't want a baton with almost any folding knife. Period. But yeah, this is just an interesting guy that had a few surprises for me along the way that I wasn't really expecting. It's not quite the knife that I thought I was going to purchase, but in the end, I still like it. But like I said, I do kind of want to modify it a little bit, kind of round that off at the end a little bit because that was just a little uncomfortable. I really would want to not take off too much there because I'm just not getting in the shot. But yeah, I wouldn't want to take off. I wouldn't want to take off too much there because I don't really want to expose the blade tip. Man, words apparently just failing me today. Yeah, that's the The TS69, bruh. It's another interesting night morning design. Well, as always, I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, yo.